You have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV.
Television addict! Television addict! Television addict!
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to December. As we head into winter, we head into the holiday season, I thought to myself, Ken, why don't you put out extra episodes? I've been lucky enough to get to talk to a bunch of great people as of late. I have a bunch of episodes, so as a holiday gift to you, here's an extra episode this month. You'll get many extra episodes. I don't want to say many, probably maybe like 2 more other than this, but there'll be a few extra episodes this month. I know that things are slow in the podcast world, so people aren't getting a lot of new content, and people are out and about shopping, running around, doing a lot of stuff in their cars, and maybe want more stuff to listen to. So that's what I'm doing. Here's some more stuff to listen to. And I couldn't be more excited about my guest today. Speaking of stuff to listen to, she is an amazing musician. She put out a fantastic solo record last year called Luck or Magic. Actually, it was earlier this year. Has a great cover of the Cars song Drive on there. Highly recommend picking that up. Her name is Britta Phillips. She also is in the band Luna with her husband Dean, and also has a project called Dean and Britta, which would make sense given that is their names. If you were someone who used to come to my secret menu show on Thursday nights at the Comedy Studio a few years ago, in my sort of pre-show mix, I had a cover of Paula Abdul's Straight Up that Luna did that I think everybody always asks me about. So that is the band she is in. She plays bass in that band. Also, I misspoke in this episode for some strange reason when I was discussing her band prior to Luna, which was called Bell Tower. I kept calling them Bell House, which was horribly embarrassing. But there is a venue in New York City called Bell House, and I also, as you can tell, have a cold, and I was on copious amounts of Dayquil. So that's what I will blame. But apologies to Britta for getting that name wrong. And for television fans, Britta also was the singing voice of Gem. That's right, that Gem that you're thinking of. Really fascinating career that she's had and done so many amazing things. Really love talking to her. She took the time sort of pre-show at Royale when Luna came and stopped through Boston recently, and I cannot thank her enough for taking that time to talk to me. As I said, I really love talking to her, and she's got a great story and some great insights, and is really fun and funny. And if you don't own any of her records, before you even listen to this album, what am I talking about? This episode, just go out and buy them right now. At least get Luck or Magic, which I don't care what Pitchfork says is a very good record. But you will enjoy it. She, as I said, is very good. A lot of shoegazy kind of stuff, is right along the lines of the things I like Tinder Sticks, and just fantastic. I don't know how many times I can say fantastic. But anyway, please enjoy this extra holiday edition. And this one is holiday appropriate. We talk about Christmas week 1974 here, which happened to be the issue that Britta picked. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Britta Phillips.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
Phillips, hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
You've had a long drive, and you still took the time to flip through a TV guide from December 1974, and I very much appreciate it.
How could I not? I haven't looked at a TV guide in, I don't know, decades, I guess.
Did you guys get it when you were growing up? Did you have a subscription or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I was sort of limited. It's so funny now. I thought I was limited by only being allowed to watch 2 hours a day, but now that's
right.
Like, parents don't let their kids watch any TV.
15 minutes or something. And then they just go watch it on their phone in their closet where they can watch anything.
But my friends would just watch it, I mean, as soon as they got home from school.
Oh, yeah. Just turn it on. And then, was there any shows you missed out on because you had a limited amount of time that your friends would be like, you didn't see whatever?
Oh, my God. I'm sure, but I am blanking on it right now.
I'm sure you've blocked it out. It was probably very traumatic. Because that was your only cultural capital, like as a kid, before you could really do anything. It was just talking about shows you watched.
Well, I was always sort of the odd kid out because I moved almost every year, so I was always the new kid. So I was always missing something.
Right.
I did not know what people were talking about.
What are you talking about? But the bulk of where you grew up was in Pennsylvania?
Yes, okay. I grew up in Pennsylvania, in eastern Pennsylvania, from Philly to the Poconos.
Okay.
So we just would migrate just far enough away from my friends where I never
Yeah.
saw them again.
Just far enough for a kid to ruin your
Yeah,
social
yeah,
life, but
yeah.
but also you get to reset every year,
Yes, that's
which
true.
I guess is good.
Yeah,
if it went badly.
I was a little shy. My sister was the outgoing one, so she was just, Miss
Making friends
Personality, and
everywhere.
I was just waiting for someone to pick me as their friend, and I would
Right.
just follow them around.
To deputize you as a friend.
Yes.
You will be my friend. Sister
very
is
shy.
younger or older? Or?
She was younger.
Okay,
yeah.
they're usually more outgoing for whatever
Yeah, I know.
don't know why.
She was very bouncy, and I was very serious.
reason. Was there a show? Did you guys ever like argue over shows since you both had a limit? Were there shows where you're like, "This is mine. I have to watch this"?
I mean, man, we fought.
Yeah.
And my parents, they're pre-hippies. They're older than hippies. They're whatever you call bohemian beatnik types. So they would let us fight. They just take off your shoes and don't use any weapons. So we would just go at each other constantly.
Avoid the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. They figured you just get it out of your system.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't need to watch TV. You have that entertainment.
Yeah, but I don't remember fighting over a specific show. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
another thing I've just blocked out.
Well,
yeah.
there's one thing I always complain about in my like old man complaints about younger people is I feel like when we had to argue with our siblings about television shows, you had to learn how to make a case for something and how to
Right.
persuade people to be like, but this show's great because there's one TV. You can't watch it later.
That's
so it was like
true.
a good skill set
See, we
learned.
I totally got gypped on that skill set because she would just start,
She'd just go, no, we're watching
punch
this.
or scratching me or whatever.
Go to movie scratching. The other thing that I feel like Generation missed out on was having to get through the gatekeeper of a parent when you were calling someone you were romantically interested in as a teenager.
Wait, say that again?
So like if you're calling like a girl you like or a guy you like,
Oh,
like
yes.
please don't answer, please dad don't answer, please or dad don't answer. And then if they did, you had to like, hey, hello, sir, and like kind of get through that gatekeeper.
Their parents.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Now they don't.
That's
You can
true.
just call them on a cell phone or like
That's
text them.
true.
That was
That's character building.
It really is. It's an important
It is.
skill that we need as people. And
That's
it's,
true.
It's sad that we don't have that.
There are a
now.
lot of people's skills being. I know I sound like a grouchy old lady
No,
now,
it's
but
true.
it's
Technology has gotten rid of our people skills.
Yeah.
So were you a big Christmas household? Like, was Christmas a big deal? Because this is Christmas week.
My stepfather was Jewish, but we still had a huge Christmas. I mean, to me, it seemed huge. It was my mom liked baking and decorating,
Right.
and we would just always be making decorations
Right.
and stuff. And I don't think they spent like a ton of money, but they always bought a lot of stuff and made it look like it just covered half of the living room. You
Yeah.
know, they just wanted it to be like
Quantity, yeah, overwhelming.
mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things
So
here.
it was really fun.
Would you guys all perform? Because your parents are musical as well. right?
Yeah, my dad was a professional musician, and I guess we didn't usually see him on holidays because I was raised by my mom and my stepfather.
Mhm.
But my mom's side of the family, and she was a great singer and a piano player, and my sister and I and my mom would sing songs in 3-part harmony.
Wow.
And, yeah. So there's a lot of singing.
Was
in the
there a
family.
Christmas carol that was a favorite, or like the one that you guys did the best?
Yeah. Is it called Sleigh Bells
Oh yeah,
Ring?
sleigh bells ring. Are you listening?
Yeah, that one, and it'll come to me. No, I'm blanking on it.
Eventually
we did a
you'll
lot,
remember. Yeah.
but that was like the one we would just trot out.
And would that be like we're entertaining all the guests? And everyone's kind of
Yeah, and
watching
it's
us.
just the family,
Yeah.
basically, but the extended family at
Right.
Christmas, and you get up there and do your.
Well, you could have had a variety show because there was a lot of family singing variety shows at this time. Could have been the Mandrell sisters. So December 21st is the Saturday night, so we're like 4 days in front of Christmas. What did you go with on that night?
Oh wow. It's so hard Saturday night
There was
because
too much?
There was a lot. There's All in the Family, which I don't know. I can't even remember. I just started watching that when I was very young with my family.
And this is a big episode of All in the Family. It's the 100th episode, and Henry Fonda hosts an
Right,
hour
it's
of
like
memorable moments.
The best, yes.
Yeah.
So you just see Archie's rants.
His finest racism.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's kind of funny because my parents were Republican, So I didn't get they were liked Archie Bunker.
Right. Yeah, I always say that my dad watched All in the Family wrong.
Yes,
Because you're supposed to be like, oh, Archie, that poor misguided man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they were very strange. They were kind of they were bohemian Republicans.
So conservative pre-hippies.
Yeah, and
Oh.
because I mean I won't even get into it. It's too strange and long a story.
Strange is good, but that is an odd
If we
mixture.
have time, I'll mention it.
So they
Yeah.
watched it and sort of cheered Archie on instead of getting the...
I guess so. I mean, I didn't really realize I wasn't thinking about it back then. I think I understood. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's
Did you see
confusing to
like
me,
a
kid.
comforting thing in Archie though? You're kind of like, oh, he's like a nice dad, like my parents.
I just thought he was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just getting humor out of it. I wasn't getting the politics.
Was that the show you guys would watch as a family? Was that like the
Yes,
show?
yes, absolutely.
It's such an odd show to be such a popular family show.
I know.
'Cause it's tackling some pretty heavy stuff on that show.
I just feel like shows back then were grittier. I mean, and just everything was a little bit more, I don't know, challenging.
Especially the Norman Lear stuff, because he was
Yeah.
basically making like blue collar plays
Yes.
about poor
Yes.
people.
Absolutely.
Which you would never get on TV
Yes.
now. And I
Yeah.
always complain about that. Like Roseanne was probably the last great blue collar show.
Yep.
And then in the 90s, television shifted from being sort of reflective to being all aspirational. It was all,
Right.
or laughing at poor people, where you're like, look
Right,
at Honey Boo Boo.
Or poor, supposedly working class people living in huge apartment
Yeah.
lofts in New York.
a
or something.
3-story loft
Yeah.
in New York, and they work in coffee shops.
Yeah.
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 Not realistic.
No.
Maybe the biggest fantasy show ever. But you also had like Emergency on, and then there's a Dream for Christmas TV movie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on here.
Oh,
that
on
was very
Saturday
difficult.
night?
Yeah.
Well, there's Mary Tyler Moore. It's all the classics I
Yeah.
watched. Mary Tyler Moore, Bob Newhart, Carol Burnett. I mean,
yeah. That's where you saw Vicki Lawrence perform her hit
Yes.
single. That's the night the lights went on in
That's the
Georgia.
night that the lights went out in Georgia.
She really always, I could never figure Vicki Lawrence out because she had a hit single, then had Mama's Family dressed as an old woman, then had a talk show. She was just like a
She's
really
an
odd,
old-time entertainer.
Yeah, she could do everything.
Yeah,
She went through
absolutely.
went through the training. Mary Tyler Moore is a show that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
All of the MTM stuff was great
Yes.
and still holds up. Like that's a show I revisit often.
Yeah, I mean, I loved those shows. Were so adult to me as a kid. So I just wanted. I could not wait to grow up and be Mary Tyler
Sophisticated
Moore.
single lady living in a loft
Yeah,
apartment in
absolutely.
Minneapolis. Because you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
see a lot of just like single female women on television at the time.
No,
at
and
all.
No, I mean, I loved I Dream of Jeannie
Yeah.
and
Bewitched.
Bewitched, but I was really always pissed off that they wouldn't just dump their dumb
Yeah.
ass husbands and boyfriends. Like
Yeah.
these guys are they're so dragging you down,
Yeah,
girl.
and they're very unpleasant. Like,
Yeah,
especially
really
Bewitched,
annoying.
because like the genie, I get it. You know, he's your master, a little creepy, but you know, there's some sort of rules there. But
Yeah.
the Bewitched, like, just leave. Darren's a real
Yeah.
wet blanket. The both of them,
Yes.
both Darrens. And I loved Elizabeth Montgomery. She just seemed so cool in
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
There's an amazing Christmas episode of that show where a lot of cities wouldn't air it because it was about racism.
Oh.
And the show was written by Elizabeth Montgomery's daughter's 8th grade class. They
How
wrote this show, yeah, and
cool.
she at the beginning she introduces it and says like they wrote this about racism, and it's about Tabitha and her best friend who are black, and Tabitha's mad that they can't be sisters, so she casts a spell so they become polka dotted.
Oh my God! What year did this come on?
72 or 73, I think. It was probably like the last year of
I'm gonna
Bewitched.
find that on YouTube.
Yeah,
or
it's very,
something.
very good, and it's fascinating how much of a controversy that was.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah, it was. She literally had to introduce the show and be like, "Don't riot." because
Right.
it was
They're just
weird.
polka dots.
Yeah, it's just polka dots, and children wrote it, so it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It's fine. What did you go with on Sunday night?
Sunday night, I had to choose Mod Squad.
Which was just the height of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was another. It was not as adult, but in that middle,
It felt
My-
adult to kids.
it was
I think.
young adult.
Yes.
Though. It was like post-teen young
Yeah.
adult cool and just super sexy.
Yeah,
to a
Peggy
kid.
Lipton was the coolest thing
Yeah.
in that ever, and they all knew like kung fu, and
Yes.
it was very much like the Avengers, but less exotic, like an
Yeah.
accessible Avengers, probably.
Yes.
And was really the only show that I can think of in America that sort of tried to capitalize on, and granted it was a little bit too late, but on that mod kind of youth movement thing.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
must have been very exotic at the time.
It's very chill, very cool.
Yeah. And Peggy Lipton, we were just saying, people forget that she was on that. She was in Twin Peaks and then married Quincy Jones and is Rashida Jones's mother.
I know.
Yeah, she was
She's
so cool in
amazing.
that. I did you see the Mod Squad movie they made in the 90s?
No.
Claire Danes is in the Peggy Lipton role.
How is that?
It's okay.
Like, I like Claire Danes.
Yeah, I like Claire Danes a lot,
but
and
it's remakes.
it's hard to make a 70s show in the 90s and make it work.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I loved the Brady Bunch movie because
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
that
really
was
funny
really
and
good.
clever and not like
That was good.
not it wasn't like crapping all over it, but it
Right.
was like it had reverence for it.
Yeah,
But yeah, very
that was
few
well
of them
done.
were able to do those. So were you wanting to be a performer when you were growing up? But you said you were kind of the shyer one, but
Yeah, I was shy, and I mean, I always loved singing. I never thought about it as a profession, which is kind of odd because my dad was a professional. But
yeah.
He,
You wrote jingles and things? Is that what you said?
well, he started out as a jazz trombone player.
Wow.
Played on Herbie Hancock's album, Speak
Wow.
Like a Child, and he played with Kai Winding. And then he switched to piano and was musical director of Broadway shows, and
Wow.
Liza Minnelli's director for, a little while, and played with Philip Glass later on. So
Wow.
he had a really varied career. And when I decided to pursue music, wasn't until I was 17 or 18, and he was 100% supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was he in New York? He was living in New York?
Yes, he lived
Would
in
you
New
go
York.
visit him
Yes.
as a kid? So
Yeah.
I imagine that you, like a lot of people when they're young, the first time they go to New York, their vision of New York is really tainted and by what they watched on television.
Yeah.
So many people that are sort of in our age group think it's going to be like the 50s because they're
Right,
seeing like
right.
Miracle on 34th Street. But it's very different.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I don't think, but I don't quite remember because I was about 3 or 4. I lived with my dad on 8th Street.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I've been visiting New York since that age.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was always
Like a second home.
a much more glamorous
Yeah,
fantasy
absolutely.
version of home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's
so.
two extremes. I mean, you were saying you kind of were obsessed with sort of farms and things as a kid, but you're in
Yes.
sort of a suburban, fairly rural Pennsylvania and then Manhattan.
Yeah, I was like this strange shy hippie kid, really into music, really into farms, and kind of was into science.
Yeah.
Like I like science. I was kind of a nerd,
Yeah.
like science kid. I liked horses.
Were you watching the horse shows like Flicka and Black Beauty and all those
I was
things?
reading books.
Okay.
I was reading all the books. But yeah, I watched some of the shows. But I remember really reading I wanted to marry a horse. I was just in love. I mean, until I was 12 or 13.
Yeah, till I was 30. No, but I think that is a very common thing with little girls for whatever reason.
Yes.
Like just they love ponies and horses.
Yes.
I don't know
It
why.
was- yeah, I don't
They seem like
understand.
magical, majestic
But I
creatures,
was-
and you can comb their hair.
Yes, and I did ride, and there's something about you have to be a good rider, you have to kind of intimately communicate with this horse, not just kick them, but
Yeah,
you kind
yeah.
of have to
They have to
have a
wanna,
relationship with them, and you as a kid or as an adult, you can just kind of romanticize this relationship you have.
Right.
I mean, it's totally like an emotional thing.
Right, but it's the way people are with dogs or any
Yes,
sort of
that's
animal that
true.
they work in conjunction with to
Yeah,
get
that's
things
true.
done.
I was like that with my dog too. Just couldn't carry me around the world.
It's very hard to ride the dog. They don't carry a lot of weight unless you have a St. Bernard and you can fit in a whiskey barrel. Is there a show that you feel like captures the New York that you know? Or was there a show? Because so many shows were set in New York at this time. Or did they all seem kind of ridiculous or just not accurate? 'Cause
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, like The Odd Couple.
Right. Or like Family Affair or any of those shows.
Oh yeah, Family Affair. Name some more, because I'm.
So set in New York in the 70s would be like, Family Affair, Odd Couple. You would have a lot of the game shows like To Tell the Truth and What's My Line would be very New York.
I loved those, like with the sophisticated.
Yes.
Oh my God, people were so.
Gore Vidal is showing up on Merv Griffin.
Intellectuals were on television. That's what I remember about the 70s.
This is crazy. Yeah, George Plimpton
Yeah.
was on TV all the time.
Yeah.
You can't do that now. Like, that's crazy.
That was my idea. Like, one of the things I remember is that I loved when I was a kid. When my parents would have their friends over and they would just have intellectual discussions. I know I mentioned that they were Republican before, and the two don't really go together, but they were.
They did in the 70s a little more.
It was a strange time.
Yeah.
They were being rebellious by being Republican.
Yeah.
They were Wilhelm Reichian Republicans, which is there's some strange, fringy kind of people.
Yeah. It was. You always have those decades kick against the last one. So the
Yes.
60s was very much the other way, and then
Yeah.
you get people who come up and go, I hated this thing, and it just kind of goes circularly.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was this New York Upper West Side sort of intellectualism that we saw in everything. All the talk shows kind of originated out of there until the Tonight Show moved to the West Coast. And so it had this sort of glamorous but sort of smarter vibe.
Yeah,
And
like-
LA was glamorous, but it didn't have people didn't write books.
Right. And who's is it? Well, they like Buckley. We watched Susskind.
Oh, yeah.
David
Susskind,
Susskind.
yeah.
And who's the other one that just came out? He released all of his shows.
Tom Snyder. David. Not David. He talks like
I'm blanking
this.
on it. 'Cause the drums.
Yeah, it's beating. I'm totally blanking.
I was thinking Dick Cavett,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and he would do 2-3 hours of shows with one guest. Like I remember
Yes.
one with him and Phil Silvers over
Yeah.
like a whole week of just two guys talking, and it was amazing.
I hunger for that, but
Yeah.
at least I can go watch them.
You can
or
watch them
buy
all now
on DVD.
on YouTube. So when you first moved to New York, the first kind of job you got was doing the gem singing, right?
Well, the first job I got was as a cocktail waitress in a heavy metal bar in Brooklyn.
Excellent.
And the second one I got was as the singing voice of Jem. Yeah, and
Those
that
two
came.
go quite hand in hand.
Yeah, and I got that audition through my dad because
Yeah.
he was playing keyboards on the show.
Oh, nice. So
And
did
he
he
knew-
actually play keyboards on the tracks that you sing on?
Yeah, he
Oh,
played
wow.
keyboards and everything, and he knew Anne Bryant, who wrote the music, and gave her my demo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ended up being the theme of the show, right?
Yes.
Just the demo that they actually
Well,
used.
I thought it was my audition, whatever they recorded. They recorded me singing the theme, and I had a cold, like I do right now, actually, kind of. Gem
Little
in my
husky?
yeah. It's got a little stuffy, but I like it.
Yeah, it's a little
thickens the
Kathleen
voice.
Turnerish.
So yeah, I thought I was gonna have a chance to I always wanted to redo things better. It's fine. It turned out fine.
Yeah, people enjoyed it. It turned
Yeah,
out fine.
yeah.
But that was a huge, I mean, the first thing you kind of do ends up being massive. That must have been very strange and also kind of like, oh, this was easy.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I was super excited to get this being paid to sing.
Yeah.
And I learned so much in the studio, and it gave me so much confidence, as a shy person.
Right.
Even though I did move to New York to pursue singing, I was still a shy person. I just did it anyway.
Yeah. You have to, but your social skills aren't quite up to the speed they are. But
Right.
you're kind of sinking or swimming
and
at that
actually,
point.
performing is a way of saying something. Like right now, I'm not sometimes I'm at a loss for words. So when you're singing,
Yeah.
you're not at a loss for your words. You know what the
Yeah.
words are, and you can really project them.
Yeah.
And that's a great superpower for a shy person.
Absolutely. And so I imagine that the confidence built from that, because then you started doing some on-camera acting stuff. Was it kind of a direct result of?
I had this manager at the time, and he just suggested, he said, I think you'd be a good actress, and I'm going to
Sold.
get you an agent. And it was just like, I don't know. I was like, sure, why not?
Let's try
So I
it.
took some acting classes for a couple of months, and then I got this agent, and I went the first audition I had turned out to be Satisfaction. So
Right.
I've been very lucky. I've
Yeah.
been very lucky.
That was 87, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Justine Bateman was enormous at that time.
She was
And that
like
was-
the biggest thing.
Yeah, they were. You were a TV actor or a movie actor. There was almost no one who crossed over.
Well,
Michael
this was
J.
supposed
Fox
to
was-
make her
Yeah.
a movie actress, and well, you know.
It was a good movie. I mean, it did all right.
Yeah, I
It-
don't know. I think it bombed. I think in the years since it's done all right
Yeah.
because people really like it
Yeah.
now. I think it was in the movie theater for a couple of days, and I remember it was released in the middle of winter in 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, that's not a good time for a summer movie.
So it went away.
But like Liam Neeson is
I
in it,
know.
and Julia Roberts
Yeah.
and Trini Alvarado. Like
Yeah.
it's a fun summer movie, but also tonally is sort of bittersweet. Like it reminds me of Mystic Pizza or something like that.
Yeah,
at
and
times.
that's what she did right after Julia
Yeah,
did.
which ended up being a huge hit.
Yeah.
But I think people weren't ready for that kind of tone. Maybe like they wanted like Revenge of the Nerds 2, kind of like wacky, summery
Yeah, or
movies.
maybe it wasn't quite enough one or the other. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was a little bit too much of the mixture was. But the tone of that movie reminds me of things that became huge in the '90s, like Gilmore Girls or something.
Oh,
Like they're
yeah.
very much in the spirit of that movie. So it
Timing
was-
is everything.
Yeah, exactly. As a musician would know. And then you was Crime Story the same year as that?
That was my next audition.
Okay,
So
okay.
I don't know. I have a good
track
fairy godmother angel or something. So yeah, the next audition it was Crime Story, and
Which was Michael Mann. It was basically, I would describe it to people as if you mixed Mad Men with Miami Vice.
Yes, it was Dennis Farina,
Farina, yeah.
and Bill Campbell.
Yeah.
Billy Campbell was in
Yep,
it,
the
and I
Rocketeer.
played a young prostitute.
Of course, yeah, yeah. In Las Vegas in the 60s.
It was a little. That was not as fun for me. I felt a little because on the movie set you're pampered, and
Yeah.
as TV guests you just come in and you have to know your shit. And I
Yeah.
had not that much experience.
Right, and they have like 3 days to shoot it, and they're
And
like,
the director's like, "You don't look old enough, honey." You know, it's like you look like a child. Come on,
yeah.
you gotta be
Like, but someone cast
so I
me.
was really sort of like, oh my god.
Yeah. What do I do?
Yeah, but it was fine.
Did
But-
it feel very like the 60s Las Vegas? when
Oh,
you
it
were
was
doing
so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And the hair and the makeup and we were, not where everyone goes now, like in the old Vegas.
Yeah, the old
downtown.
strip
It
that they've sort
was-
of yeah.
And the cars, I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
They
it
spent
looked
money on that
amazing.
show.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami Vice was so huge. They were like, Michael Mann, what do you want to do? And that was what he wanted to do. So they pumped a ton of money
Yeah.
into it, and it was a good show.
It is a good show.
And I think it's ripe for rediscovery. They're both on DVD. And then you were kind of like, I'm kind of done with
I
acting.
did
at
one
the-
last thing, which was Aaron Spelling,
Oh,
who was
Nightingales.
one of the producers on Satisfaction, asked me to be in this pilot, Nightingales. I was supposed to be like the comic relief, and so I was in the pilot, but
Yeah.
then I got canned after the pilot.
Oh,
I don't
really?
think the show lasted very
It was
long.
only about 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a nighttime soap opera about nurses, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
student
yeah.
nurses.
Student nurses.
It- yeah,
Very
it was not
70s
good.
exploitation sounding.
Yeah.
Very Aaron Spelling sounding.
It was pretty thinly written.
And is that when you did Bell House? Is that when you started?
When I was filming Satisfaction, actually right after Satisfaction, we had a rap party there, and Justine and I had seen this band and Julia in town. This young band, I think they were just out of high school.
Oh, wow.
And we asked them to play at our rap party.
Oh, that must have made
And
their day.
I ended up marrying the guitar player.
Very nice. As you do.
Not right away, but pretty, like a year later. So that's when I was just doing this acting, and then I joined his band, and we moved to England, and we're like this indie shoegaze band.
Yeah, yeah. And
So-
you were there for a few years, right?
Yes.
I also lived there in the early 2000s. Were you guys watching TV and stuff over there? Was it like a
yeah,
culture shock?
mostly what I was watching on television were the music shows, which
Yes.
were great.
The
They had all
Tube
these
was
video,
still on, oh,
Rapido, which was like
oh yeah. And The Word was probably
Yes.
still on? Yeah.
Mostly though, what I watched were the One Man and His Dog, which
Okay.
is the shepherding competition.
Excellent, yep.
Back to my
Yep.
farm. And dog shows. They were so into their dogs and dog shows, and it was so bizarre to me.
Yeah, that was weird for me. Like All Day Sunday would just be snooker.
Yeah.
days and days.
I checked out. I
And their
cannot.
TV would sign off. That was what was
Yeah.
weird to me. They would still have sign-offs up until the 2000s.
Yes.
I was like, we stopped doing this 20 years ago. This is very, very strange. Back to the Mod Squad, you kind of get to go to the height of mod.
Yeah, and then I think I missed Twin Peaks because I was there during that.
Right.
And when I came back, I guess what was big, like Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, like 95, 96 probably?
I was
94?
back in like 90. We were back by 92 or 3.
Okay.
So it was just 89 to 92.
Yeah,
was
that
fun.
would have been the Twin Peaks and sort of weird television, quality television had to kind of
Yeah.
around. Then MTV was shifting from not showing music videos anymore. That was when I gave up on 120 minutes after that. It was the
Oh,
last
yeah.
holdout on MTV that was still
Yeah.
doing some interesting stuff, which I think I might have seen a Bell House video on 120 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the song I wrote.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think it was definitely when you were singing. Yeah. So what else would we have? Sunday night.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
we
back
went
to the
yes, back
TV
to the
guide.
What do we go? Monday.
Scrooge that I watched every year.
Yeah, do
I
you
mean, I
still
watched
watch it?
all the Christmas shows every year.
Do you still watch any of them?
Well, now I mean my stepson is 17 now, so
Okay.
like it's not as when he was little, it was exciting to rewatch, the Rudolph.
Yeah.
And
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Charlie Brown. Oh man,
That's you
music
could,
in that is so great.
It's
too.
amazing. You could
Yeah.
never do such a sad show for children now.
No,
It's
I
so
know.
melancholy, and I love that one has endured, and I watch it every year, even though I own it. I watch it when it's on TV. It's just
Yeah.
there's something about watching it when it's airing that I don't know.
Well,
why that's
that is
different.
something I miss too, is watching a show that all these other people, and the same thing with radio.
Yeah.
Like that sort of huge
Shared experience, sort of.
popular tribe connection is missing.
I don't know how people hear about music now.
Reddit? I don't know.
I guess, yeah. Or like you can find anything you want, but you kind of already have to like it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like stumbling on things
I mean,
is so important.
I guess I have friends I ask, or I'll look at Pitchfork. I'll go through their
Right.
stuff, although I don't always agree with them. They didn't like my solo album, so
Oh,
I'm
they're
mad
wrong.
at them.
They're wrong. They didn't even enjoy Drive.
I know they were totally wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100% wrong. We've gone on the record saying they are wrong about
and
the
I
record.
don't always agree with them, but sometimes there's some good stuff. They
Yeah.
do weed a lot out,
Yeah.
which is good.
I mean that is good. There's so many songs that and shows too that I just stumbled on. Or like you're flipping through MTV or 120 minutes. There was a video they'd show once, and I'm like, this is amazing, and now I have to go
Yeah.
find this, and I
Yeah.
never would have found it otherwise. And I miss that sort of stumbling on things factor
Right.
of kind of when we were the pre-millennium age of these
Yes.
sort of things. Monday nights you went with Scrooged, and is that your favorite? Not Scrooge, that's the Bill Murray one. Scrooge. Is that your favorite version of the Christmas Carol? That Albert Finney one?
I have to say yes, because that's it's what you grow up
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Even though I know, well, I didn't like I love Bill Murray, but
Yeah.
I didn't particularly like
That
that.
one's a bit cynical. That's not a rewatch every year one.
And the old one is great, but this one just brings back
That one's a
me
little.
feeling like 8 years. I'm 8 years
Yeah.
old again. So
That one's a
it's-
little too old.
Yeah, isn't it black and white or
yeah,
something?
Yeah,
And
and I don't think it's a musical either.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's dark too.
Yeah, it's
And
just very much ghosts.
yeah. This is like this one and Willy Wonka were the huge kind of
Did you
course.
see that in the theater when it came out?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
I love Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
I still love him, even though he just passed. We have the same birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
We have a lot in common, like crazy hair.
Crazy hair. Same birthday. You own a candy factory.
He's a really good singer.
Yeah, absolutely. Pitchfork did not like his last album, which I thought was very out of line. Did you show your stepson Willy Wonka or anything when he was younger and be like, this was my favorite movie? I don't know if it was a favorite movie.
Yeah, no, we showed him everything. That's one of the great. I mean, I don't have a kid of my own, but I've known him since he was 3.
Right.
So that's one of the most fun things about
like
raising a
programming
child
them.
is to. It's also reliving your childhood,
Right.
but seeing it from the outside.
Right.
It's just
You get to watch something again for the first time,
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything you tried to show him that you were like, I love this so much? And was like, no, this is not. There's no way.
Oh God, I can't think of anything. can't think of it. He was pretty open.
Yeah.
I mean, we plied him with so much, Lou Reed, Nancy Sinatra.
You did it right. Yeah.
He still has great taste in music. He likes a lot of hip hop now, but really good hip hop, which
Yeah.
he is schooling us on.
Oh, well, that's good.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very good.
That's a good time saver.
Yeah.
You've sent an emissary out to go find
Yes.
us the good things.
Yes.
When you were living in New York, it was kind of a golden time for hip hop as well, right? Like, I mean, you're working at a heavy metal bar, but that was sort of, there was a lot going on musically at that time, right?
Oh, and that would have been...
Mid 80s or?
Yeah, my sister who lived in New York was much cooler in her taste as
Right.
far as like the dance and the hip hop
Freestyle stuff and yeah.
She was a dancer too.
Okay.
And I was coming more from a classic rock Pennsylvania, and I was going through a metal phase too for
Right.
a little while, although it didn't last very long. I was kind of all over the map. I mean, I loved...
You're a guitar person.
Yeah, I don't know, but I love thrill. I love
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. I love Off the Wall. I love, I don't know. I was kind of all over the place,
Yeah.
but more pop.
Right, right, right. What were some of the bands coming up through there that you were really into that were like local stuff at that time,
Local,
or even bands that were coming through?
like Madonna.
Yeah, Madonna. Wasn't she in the band The Breakfast Club around then? Local act Madonna.
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of what heavy metal bands there would be in New York at that time. It would be like
Oh.
Anthrax and stuff.
Oh yeah, actually, I knew those guys because
Yeah.
they played at the club. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, at the
Yeah,
club.
yeah.
I see what you're
I
asking.
feel like Anthrax,
I've got
Biohazard.
tour brain. Anthrax, definitely, they were there all the time. Like White Lion. They were more
Oh,
of
yeah.
a hair band. I waited on Gene Simmons once.
Oh, did he hit on you? Because I imagine.
I don't think so. I think he was pretty polite.
Wow.
I know.
That's
I was
the
a little
first story I've ever heard.
intimidated.
Like,
I was intimidated head, but he was fine.
were you a Kiss fan?
I was a Kiss fan when I was a kid.
Right.
I mean, they have some great singles. I was a roller rink girl, so Kiss, they
Kiss
would
is good
play
roller
Kiss.
skating music. Detroit Rock City is
Yeah.
perfect for roller skating. What was that? Their disco. I Was Made for Loving You.
Yes.
That's a good roller skating
I love
song.
disco.
Yeah,
So
I'm a huge disco fan
I
as well.
love it.
Which I had to hide when I was in punk rock bands.
That's one thing I love about music these days is that it feels like rock and disco. There's no...
Yeah.
That divide is over.
Disco sucks is gone. You
Yes.
can do both.
No,
Yeah.
everybody's incorporating electronic and dance.
There was such weird, like all that, because Donna Summer is from Boston, so she got an unusual amount of airplay here, even
Yeah.
for the weirder stuff like Muscles, those weird songs that she did. But the Giorgio Moroder stuff is just bizarre,
it's the
and it was
best.
so weird to hear that on the radio. Because now, like that would be a weird Euro indie band sound.
Yeah, I remember when that song came out. I don't know exactly how old I was.
So I Feel Love would have
Like,
been like 76.
Was I like 14 or something? But I remember like all my friends were into rock, classic rock, so I would just listen to that like in my room or in the car alone over and over until
Hiding it.
the cassette would just destroy itself.
And hope that no one found out. You're listening to disco. But they had like Soap Factory Disco was still on in New York at that time, which was like a local dance party show that was on all the time.
See, I wish I had gone. My sister was going to Studio 54 as like a 14-year-old.
Wow.
When she was in New York. We both left home kind of early.
Yeah.
We're wild children. But she was in New York sooner than I was, and
Yeah.
I wish I had.
Well, you had a different path, though. It sounds
Yes,
like
that's
you had
true.
to get the confidence of Jim and that sort of thing first.
I had to go through my rock phase.
Yeah, we all go through the rock phase before we can all eventually land back with disco. When Jim started airing, were you getting like feedback from it? Were you realizing people were watching it?
That's the thing is, as big as it was, like I read a few things in the articles in the newspaper, so I knew, it's kind of like millions of people are watching the show. So they were comparing it to, it's like a platinum record or something. But I didn't get any feedback because all the kids they're little kids watching it.
Yeah.
So no adult knew
There's no
anything
way
about
to,
it.
yeah.
I had no feedback except I had a brother at the time who was 5, and he grew up with my dad. So when I would see him and his friends, he would be like, "Come meet my friends."
Will you sing the song? Me and my friends are jam
So they
girls.
thought I was cool, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." But I never thought that anyone. I wasn't thinking someone would grow up and remember or care.
Yeah, because it's just kind of a job, right?
So
Yeah.
it's actually this super delayed, excellent payback for me as far as the love for Jem. Yeah.
It's so weird too because all the dolls came with a cassette of the songs.
Yeah.
So you're like selling millions of albums in a weird way that just
Yeah.
comes with the thing.
Yeah.
Which must be very, very strange as somebody's a musician. And I think for kids, that was the first sort of action girl show I can remember too.
Right.
But for kids, our first sort of favorite songs tend to be a theme song because it's the only song you can listen to at a certain time every
Yes,
week.
yes.
And so I think that show was really tapped into that for that particular generation.
Yeah.
Was there a favorite TV theme song that you had growing up?
Oh wow! I just written down the MASH theme song because
Oh,
that was
yeah.
one of the first things I taught myself how to play on the piano.
I can play that on guitar. It's
Yeah.
one of my first things. Yeah, Suicide is Painless. It's
And
really-
I didn't realize those were the lyrics until
Yeah.
I got the sheet music, and I was like, "Oh my god,
This is
now
brutal."
it's super cool."
Yeah, yeah.
Suicide is painless.
What? The biggest show on television is the first thing it says
God.
is Suicide is Painless?
Yeah.
I remember when I that was one of the first songs I figured out how to play on the guitar,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, this is great. Those instrumental, like, bittersweet melancholy, like the Taxi theme song.
Oh, yes.
And they just kind of, something about them is like warm and also really sad.
Well, I loved songs that made me cry. You know, or like Nadia's theme. Remember
Yeah.
Nadia, the Olympic Nadia Comaneci? I played that, learned that song on the piano too.
Yeah, so that like sort of minor key, like just
Yeah.
sad kind of music, very not Gem-like.
Yeah.
The opposite of those
It's
things.
very French.
Yes, very French inspired. Tuesday night, would you go with at 8:00?
Tuesday, Happy Days, of course. I watched that. It seems like my entire childhood.
I think you had to. Like, you couldn't be a child in America in
Yeah.
the 1970s and not watch Happy Days. I do want to mention that Don Kirshner's rock concert is on that night. The bands are, let's see, Focus, who I've never heard of, New Birth, and UFO.
Oh wow! See, I was too young to appreciate that at that time, but later on, I was in my metal or pre-metal days. I was
Yeah.
a UFO fan for
Yeah.
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think we all were for about 5 minutes. But also, I remember an episode of the Midnight Special that the Cars hosted. And at the
Ah.
time, they used to let the band curate the other acts on it. And they had Suicide on, Alan Vega.
Cool.
And I think it might have been Devo they had on. But it was
Right.
just this amazing, bizarre show for them to have.
Is that still on? Is that on?
You can find
YouTube
that one,
or
yeah. The Cars specific episode is on DVD.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to watch that.
It's very good. I would highly recommend it. But it was maybe the weirdest episode of Rock Concert. There's a lot of shows. Happy Days, but you didn't go with Adam 12 or Good Times.
Yeah, I didn't watch those so much. I didn't watch. I mean, maybe Good Times a little bit, but not Adam 12.
Again, a very depressing show, Good Times. They were living in Cabrini Green, and just it was, I guess, realistic. But I just, we didn't have any money when I was growing up, but I just couldn't identify. I was like, oh, this is too much. I can't identify
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah, I did go
Yeah.
for the more just inanely entertaining.
Well, I think, yeah, we all would. And Happy Days this is pre-Jump the Shark Happy Days. So this
Yeah,
is when,
yeah.
Ron Howard is still on it. It's at the height of its powers.
Yep.
I am intrigued by a show called A New England Christmas, where its memories of Christmas past are evoked in the holiday fair. Homes and locales throughout Maine lend a Currier and Ives look to the story about a hometown boy who returns to spend Christmas with his father. Many roles are played by members of the same family.
That's for my grandmother, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that seems very weird. I'm like, you've made Christmas boring here. A New England
There was
Christmas.
a lot of old timey stuff on TV, I guess, for our grandparents.
Yeah, the Lawrence
and-
Welk.
and- yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to watch that. with
Bubble Time.
at my grandparents' house.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that was specific. Like they had to know, like, we need something for old people to watch. We don't want them to have to get up and change the channel for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Get the polka and the bubble machine going. And this is also the height of MASH too at 8:30, which was a show that always was too old for me when I was growing
Yeah,
up.
that's the thing. I didn't watch it that much. That's a show older or other kids and maybe older kids would talk about.
Right.
But I didn't really get into. And
you
Star
have-
Trek was another show I didn't
yeah.
watch because it scared me. when
'Cause
I
of the
was
monsters
little.
and the aliens
I
and
don't
stuff?
know. I
Yeah.
just saw one episode where they had something on their skin that was really. It
Oh,
could
yeah.
get weird.
Yeah.
And when
Oh,
I first
absolutely.
saw it, I was pretty little, so I just never. I've just started watching it like in the last 10 years, and it became a huge
The original
nerd about-
series?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so 60s, which I
it's
love.
so
It's got
good.
that amazing, just
a-
crazy 60s-ness of
so
it.
good.
But yeah, at the time, Doctor Who was the show like that for me that I think I saw 5 minutes of as a kid. I was like, no way. Not
Yeah.
watching this. There's like a lizard man. I don't know
That's
what's
the
going on.
best theme.
Yes,
That
that
is
is my
the best
favorite.
theme.
And I love all the different iterations of it. And that bass line is so good.
Yeah.
All those BBC, was it the BBC Radio Lab from the 60s, where it was
Yeah.
just these two people in suits who were like
Right.
inventing electronica
Yeah.
inadvertently as their 9-to-5 office job. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
I love those LPs. Anytime I see those in a used store, I just pick them up. So Wednesday night is Christmas. It's actual Christmas Day.
Oh.
And you were very excited about Tony Orlando and Don.
Yes.
It's a Christmas special too. This Tony Orlando and Don.
Oh, joy, happy, joy, joy.
Esther Raleigh is the guest, and Esther is an extremely wealthy woman in the TV series sketch Very, Very Good Times, and Alice Nunn plays a female Santa Claus. And this is my favorite
Wow.
part. Tony and Don have a musical salute to gypsies.
That's you can't even say that word now.
No, I think you'd have to say travelers.
Yeah,
I
think
it's offensive. But you immediately said Tony Orlando and Don was huge for you.
Yes, that was one of my first. I mean, I had a lot of early musical obsessions, but
Yeah.
that was definitely one of the early ones.
Was it the mustache or just the pop music?
I
of
think it was first. It was just the songs.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I just heard them on the radio, and it's funny listening to them now. They're so like corny.
Yeah, yeah.
They're super corny.
They all sound like they're from a musical that never came
Yeah,
out. Or
and they're
something.
very old. I mean, they're not very 70s sound. They're
No.
really old timey.
Yeah, they're like 1930s kind of songs in like disco
Yeah.
clothes.
But I don't know.
And then Thelma Hopkins from Dawn was an actress, and she was
Yes.
in Give Me a Break and all these other things after that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was Tony Orlando and Dawn sort of lost a little bit in the sands of time, but that was probably the biggest variety show.
Oh
at the
yeah,
time.
no, it was huge, and I like I loved Sonny and Cher too, and anything with male and female.
That dynamic
singer
co-host thing.
Comedy in quotations.
Yes, the Bruce Valanche style of comedy. Yeah.
Yes.
Even, do you ever see Pink Lady and Jeff? Do you remember that?
No.
show? Oh, it was the same time. It was produced by Sid and Marty Krofft. It was Jeff. What was the guy's? Jeff Altman, who was a stand-up comedian, and the co-hosts were this Japanese duo. These two women who spoke no English. The singing like giant pop stars in
Sounds
Japan.
amazing.
And it was 6 episodes of amazing, just crazy 70s variety show, like unbelievably bizarre.
Sid and Marty. Oh
Yes.
my God, I love them so much.
HR Puff and
too.
Stuff
Yeah.
person, or
yeah.
I enjoyed Sigmund and the Sea Monsters. I think
Yeah,
it got
I watched,
underrated.
I watched. Well, I wasn't. Which was first? The Puff and Stuff was first.
Puff and
or-
Stuff was one of the early ones. I want to say maybe like. Yeah, I think that might be the first one. Lidsville was around the same time,
Yeah.
and Land of the Lost was the one.
Oh
that
my
terrified
God!
me.
I was just telling Dean about that. Did you? Because he didn't move to the States till he was 14. So
Okay.
there's some shows that he did not.
He missed Land of the
He
Lost.
never saw Land of the Lost.
Wow, he really missed out on some
Yeah.
terrifying. That's a show like Star Trek that there are some terrifying things in that show.
Yeah.
that were very, very creepy. The Slee Stack
that
scared
show.
everybody.
I love that show.
Good theme song too. A rare theme song sung by a star of the show.
Wait, I can't.
It was one of those like songs
I'm
that it was
blanking.
like a bluegrass, and it was like Marshall, Will, and Howley, and it had like the whole theme, the whole
Oh my God.
story of what happened to
I gotta
them.
find that out.
The kid who played the teenager sang the song, and he was
Oh,
like
really?
gonna have a big
So it was a
music
rock
career.
song for Land
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Lost. I love it.
1973, Land of the Lost rock style song. Thursday night, what'd you go with?
Thursday night, I went with the Waltons. The Waltons. I
So
watched
you
a
loved the
lot of the Waltons.
I could never get it. That's the John Boy show, right?
Yeah, John Boy. Good night, John Boy. Good
Yeah.
night. It's another really corny kind of
It's so slow.
show about simple people.
Simple
on
people in a simple place.
good people on
Yeah.
a farm. And I don't know. I had this obsession with farms and farm life and kind of that old time living.
Did you ever visit farms or anything, or just like?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up where I grew up in Pennsylvania. There were farms around me, and then we would take a vacation to the Amish
Right.
land, which was just like an hour to the west.
Yeah.
You know, it was very exotic.
Yeah. Find baked goods over there.
Yeah, shoe fly pie. and hexes and no electricity and
Yeah.
you know they looked like people from a couple of centuries ago.
Yeah, it's like taking vacation 100 years ago.
So I just thought I wanted to go back in time or live like an Amish person.
Right, just the simplicity of it, like or a barn raising
I
seemed
think
really
it's just
fun.
I'm not really sure. It was I could think it was just different, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I like the Jetsons too because
Yeah,
it's in the future.
It's in the future.
So it's either
Anytime
the
that
past.
wasn't now.
Yeah.
So the Amish were like the real life Flintstones.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I was in a band, I was fascinated with Rumspringa. from the
Oh
Amish were going.
yes.
And we would play like Pittsburgh-y type area punk rock shows. And I remember this promoter of the show goes, "Ah, shit, the Amish are here." And I thought he was kidding. And I was laughing. And I'm like, he's like, "No, I'm not kidding. They come on the Rumspringa. They're the biggest assholes." Because he was like, they just don't care. So they're starting fights and like are drunk. And because it's that year, they can do whatever they want.
Oh,
so he's like,
it's a whole year
Yeah.
of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming, I think I heard that a lot of them do leave then. They're
Yeah,
just
there
like,
used to
oh.
be most of them would come back and be like, got it out of my system, but like recently they've started like they're
Right.
rethinking the Rumspringa because they're like, oh, actually they seem to like not being Amish. But I
Yeah.
was just like, you know, a 19-year-old kid on free reign to go nuts is not who you want at a punk rock show.
No.
It's gonna cause some problems.
I don't know. I had this idea that there's that sort of goodness and pureness, but I'm sure it really varies, and there's some
Yeah.
really nastiness in those closed communities.
Yeah, I mean, I have read those weird articles about like the Amish hitmen guys that like
Oh,
go cut their
God.
beards off while they're sleeping if they've like done something against the community. There's like a
Right.
whole weird
Shunning
Yeah,
and shaming.
the shunning,
and
yeah.
Beard shearing.
Yes, beard shearing that's gone too far with
Yeah.
the beard shearing. But the Waltons always seem like a less exciting Little House on the Prairie to me.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't. I should have been watching Little House on the Prairie, I guess. I don't know.
I just can't even like. I tried to watch it a couple times and I'm like,
It
is
was
anything
really
even
slow.
happening?
It was really, really slow and quiet and serious.
Which seems kind of nice, but I don't know. Have
was
you
just-
revisited it as an adult?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I should. I think
I'd
I
be
had
curious.
a crush on.
Oh,
John Boy.
Yeah, who does voiceovers for car ads a lot now.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
That's so funny.
Is it Lexus or something?
very
There's one of them
sweet.
that he does, and every time I'm like, it's John Boy.
Yeah.
He was
Oh
very
my
good
God.
in the TV adaptation of Stephen King's It.
Oh,
He was
really?
in the lead in that. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's an odd
He was,
filmography.
I feel like the acting on that show was good, even
It
if it was
was.
boring. They had good, like Michael Learned. Was that the mom?
Oh
Her
yeah,
name
yeah,
was
yeah,
Michael.
yeah. It was a very well done
And-
show. It
yeah.
just I was like always waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, it was kind of like Family was another
Yes.
serious one that I liked, or just people brooding. and-
Yeah. What bad thing's gonna happen? But normal bad, not like now
Yes,
TV bad things
no.
where like a comet hits everybody and
No,
like everyone's
very
murdered.
small.
Yes, little
but
small
serious things. Yeah.
And then were you watching all night? Did you have anything else on Thursday?
I didn't pick anything else. What else is on? Did I miss
So
something?
Thursday
good?
night, there's nothing really great on. It's that day after Christmas, so they're not really programming too much. There's a Mac Davis special with McLean Stevenson, Charlie Rich and Gladys Knight and the Pips are Mac's guests, and they're doing
Charlie
comedy spots as well.
Oh, my.
I do like the TV Guide used to list what songs they would play.
Did they? Oh my God, that's so.
So this
cool.
one is Charlie Rich is playing Your Place in Here with Me. Gladys Knight and the Pips do I Feel a Song in My Heart. Mac and Charlie do Behind Closed Doors. And then there's a medley with everybody of doing Feeling All Right, Friendship Train, Amen, and Blown in the Wind.
Wow.
Yeah.
Variety shows were just. They were the thing then.
And
I
how is
guess.
McLean
I don't know.
Stevenson involved in that? It's very weird.
I
I guess he was still at Mary Tyler Moore fame pre-Love Boat.
yeah. Oh, Love Boat.
Yeah.
That
I enjoyed
was
that.
huge.
Did you watch
Oh,
Love Boat at
yeah.
the time?
I
And the
watched
Fantasy Island after?
Fantasy Island and Love Boat were
That was one of the weirdest family 2 hours of television that could ever exist because the tonal shifts on those shows were so bizarre. So bizarre.
Yeah.
And they'd have a comedy one and then a serious one all in the
that's
same
true.
episode. It
They
was
just
really
covered
weird.
I don't know. Switching out writers.
I feel
every
like
other-
the world is worse off for not having guest stars anymore.
Dude, I guess that's right.
don't
Nobody.
have any.
Why?
I think there are people, because everything's so like niche, we don't have people everybody knows who they are maybe. Or
Right.
there's just not like the
Right,
novelty of
right.
those shows. I guess
That's
it's replaced
true.
with stuff like Dancing with the Stars or something.
I don't know who celebrities are these days.
I certainly don't.
I really. There's
mean-
no like Charles Nelson Riley. I don't even
Charo.
know what he was famous for, but
Just being a guest star.
Yeah.
He was. You could just make a career being a guest star and
Yeah.
be perfectly happy with that career. I think it's because there's obviously there's more channels now, so people watch these minimum things. But I think that it's just the novelty of all those people in one thing isn't there anymore. Maybe. I don't
And
know.
people used. I mean, now I don't watch reality shows. I'm like the only person I know that
It's hard to
doesn't watch
avoid them. Yeah.
But I just don't. I don't know. I can't.
It's like, why do we have this?
I know I will get addicted if I start watching,
Yeah.
and I feel depressed when I do.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, I can't.
I
do
just
this.
wasted
I just
4
can't do
days.
this.
Yeah, no, I think you've done the right thing there,
So,
not watching those.
you know.
Yeah, I think that must have replaced things
Yeah.
like the Love Boat, where you could see, like it's an actor from 20 years ago and a new person and Cheryl Ladd.
And it's easier. It's much easier to enter. It's much less work entertaining, just inciting people to get mad at each other and
Yeah.
have hissy fits on TV.
Well, that's why radio is
Yeah.
all sports radio and right-wing radio now, because you don't have to actually research or write anything. You just say something, people
and
call in.
Politics. I mean, nobody's thinking about it. They're just
I'll
whipping
tell you
stuff
what I
up
think.
into a frenzy.
Yeah, and they kill some time, and people get excited, and it's very, very, it's lazy. It's just like it's a
Yeah.
shortcut, I think.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a cruise?
No, I've never
never have
been on
either.
a cruise.
Love Boat kind of made me want to go. That might be all right.
My sister, who sings, she was a singer on a cruise
Really?
ship once. A while ago.
Yeah.
And she got claustrophobic and jumped ship somewhere and just
Oh
ran
wow,
off.
she couldn't do it. She's like, I can't
get
do
back
it.
on the boat.
It's not like Love Boat. Yeah, like cruise ships and summer camps are the two things I saw in so many things growing up and never did.
I
either
never
of
went to
them.
summer camp either.
Do you feel like you missed out?
I do.
I do a little bit too.
I wanted to, get initiated and
Yeah.
have some song.
Yeah, or like
weird-
sit by a fire.
Yeah, I don't know, I
Avoid
never
being
did any of
murdered
that.
by a hockey masked man. I don't know what they do at summer camp these
No,
days, but yeah,
no,
I never
I never
went.
did that.
Never went. Friday night, the final night of the week. This was your hardest
That
night. There was too
tough.
much.
There's, because all these shows I've watched, but I would say the one I watched the most, the one that got me most excited was the $6 Million Man.
Yeah, I mean that was the most exciting of the shows.
And actually, I was more into the Bionic Woman after that.
yeah, Lindsay Wagner.
Yeah, Lindsay Wagner.
I don't
But
think you were
this one
alone.
got me started.
This is a pretty good one. Steve does battle with a gang that is assembling its own atomic bomb from stolen parts.
Holy crap.
Classic plot line there. Yeah.
But yeah, no, just that, and it's still something that people love, and I love, is just the cyborg,
Yeah.
the machine, the superpowers.
Yeah.
all- Yeah.
I always remember all the toys I had were like flea market toys, so I was always like 10 years behind. So in the 80s, I had a $6 Million Man toy,
Yeah.
and it had that bionic eye, and you could look through the eye, like look through
Oh,
the back
so
of his head,
cool.
and see like what he was
I
supposed
didn't
to
have
see.
one.
It was
I don't
pretty
know
cool.
why.
It was pretty cool. But I don't know if they did a Jamie Summers one. They did try to bring that back. Do you remember when they tried to bring that back, like in the last 10 years?
I think I do remember that, and I just thought like, oh.
Yeah, it didn't quite work. Did not
No.
quite work. But that was a good technology. It was like the Jetsons, but with.
Yeah.
But you passed up Rockford Files, which
Yeah.
is not a real kids show.
No, it wasn't. It was another one of those. I like the word adulty
Yeah.
because it's not a word.
Mature.
Adulty, and I mean, I watched. There are no other cop shows in here, and I did watch quite a few of those.
Yeah, Policewoman.
Columbo.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much Policewoman. I don't know why, but
Beretta.
Columbo, Beretta.
Yep.
Yeah, Beretta.
Beretta.
Ironside.
Ironsides, Kojak.
Yeah, all those.
Well, The
but
Night Stalker is on at 10 o'clock that night, which is a show I love.
I never watched that.
It's Darren McGavin, who was he was the dad in Christmas Story.
Oh,
but he
I
plays a
didn't
news
see.
reporter that fights monsters.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really cool.
I never watched that.
This one, Kolchak flies to Southern California to check out a story about people who have died because their blood has been drained from their bodies.
Oh, ghoulish.
Yeah, there's all kinds of fighting weird monsters, including a headless motorcyclist with a flaming skull, and it was just a very weird show. But again, a show where the main character was like a 60-year-old man,
Right, right.
which you would never get now.
I was just talking about that the other day too. That we used to have really mature people on television shows and in movies, and they're just remaking MacGyver, which I never really watched the first
Yeah.
one, but he looked like a man, and this
Yeah.
this guy looks like a man child.
He looks like he's 15 and is
Yeah.
wearing like a weird wig, like it was in a body switching movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if people just look younger generally now, or they cast.
Well, that's true. That is true. I feel like we're aging more slowly, or holding on to our adolescence or
Yeah.
youth a lot longer.
Yeah. You don't see like women in their 60s who look like the Golden Girls now.
No,
None of them.
None of the hairstyle has died out. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, or even just the way they dress. Like,
Perm with the rolls.
Yeah, it's not-
and the dress. Yeah, the dressing.
That-
Although Hillary's she's pretty
that's
close.
true. Although the pantsuits are kind of hip.
Yeah, she's
yeah.
better. She's better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But even she's
looking-
like 70 something.
Oh my God, is she?
Oh,
Well, she
close to
looks-
70.
Yeah.
But
that's
the Golden
true.
Girls were like, I think when that show started, they were supposed to be like 50 something.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy.
I'm 50 something.
You definitely don't look like one of the Golden Girls.
Yeah, it's crazy. If I think of my grandmother at my age and
Probably seemed really old.
yeah,
But
well,
is
she-
not at all. Yeah, like when I think about my parents when I was like 15, I think they were like, I don't know, 30 something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, they
It's
can't
the
be my age now.
hairdo and
Yeah.
the polyester pantsuits.
Yeah, the pantsuits. Pantsuits will age you. I think that's what we've
Yeah.
learned from the 21st century.
Don't do it.
Don't do pantsuits, everybody. And polyester melts, and if you get in a fire, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Well, I know you got to do a show. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
my
talking to me
pleasure.
about television. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, baby, I see you in my TV set, yeah, baby, I see you in my TV set. I cut your head off and put it in my TV set.
There you go, Britta Phillips. Fantastic, as I said. A lot of fun talking to her. I'm a huge admirer of her work. So I was very pleased to be able to sit down and chat with her about television. And as I said, musician and actress in some incredible things. Crime Story comes up on this show all the time. She's very good in that, and her records are great. So definitely go buy some or ask for some for the holidays from people who buy you gifts, if people do that still. There's going to be like a Christmas list app somewhere, I imagine, that children use. Or maybe adults. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Anyway, you can write to me at tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or ken@icanread.com. icanread.com being my stand-up comedy page, as I am a stand-up comedian as well. Still a stand-up comedian, I know. So if you bet 2016 would be the year that I quit, you're wrong. Although you do have like 3 more weeks. So if something happens between now and then, maybe you will win. But maybe bet 2017. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, you can go to our Facebook page, TV Guidance Counselor. Just search there. Or you can tweet to me at TV Guidance. So this is Friday. We have new episodes some Fridays this month. I haven't decided if it'll be every Friday yet. Well, we missed last week, but maybe every week. I'm not quite sure. I'm very manic today. Why am I speaking so quickly? That I'm going to blame the caffeine and the Dayquil. That's what I'm going to blame. The caffeine and the Dayquil and the 4 espressos I had earlier today. Anyway, as I said, new episodes every Wednesday and probably episodes on other days of the week. So make sure that you subscribe to the show. If you're not a subscriber, you may miss episodes if you don't know to go look for them on days other than Wednesdays. So please subscribe, rate and review the show, and we'll see you again next time on TV Guidance Counselor.
Comedy in quotations.
Yes.
Shunning
Yeah,
and shaming.
the